Thank you, ICT Germany, the board and the staff, especially Kai, for being such an incredible friend and ally. Thank you, Tenzula, who I look up to and who did save us and offer us safe haven in Bangalore when we were 18 years old, traveling India. Thank you for this great honor, which I accept not for me, but for the dedicated team I work with at Tibet Action Institute, especially our many colleagues from Tibet, who inspire me daily with their continued commitment to fight for Tibetan rights and freedom, who helped us, who really led the charge to uncover the colonial boarding school system and the nightmare that has engulfed at least 1 million Tibetan children as young as 4 years old, and their parents inside Tibet. These colleagues of mine are themselves working for freedom and human rights in Tibet and waiting for the day that they can return and see the families they left, many of them as children. I also accept this on behalf of all the individuals and the organizations, many who are here with us today, who work tirelessly every single day in this beautiful Tibet movement that I was raised in, and that I have had the great privilege to work for my entire adult life. Most importantly, I accept this in the memory of the countless Tibetans who've laid down their lives, who've given up their freedom, who've suffered and continue to suffer so terribly because they refuse to give up and submit to Chinese rule in Tibet. There are those we know, and the names we know, like those here tonight, Gola Jigmila, Gengalola, someone very dear to me, Ngao Sandrala of the Drapshi 14 nuns, Punzo Nidron. There are many, many names we know. And then there are the countless others whose names and stories we don't know. Mothers, fathers, grandparents, chieftains, servants, farmers, nomads, soldiers, monks, nuns, teachers, and students, who have fought some of the fiercest battles, often against all odds, with honor, courage, grace, and even compassion. Our Tibetan freedom is rich with these people, whose stories serve both to break our hearts, while at the same time filling them with deep pride and reverence. It's for them, for all of them, that I accept this recognition. We are here now, we have this movement because they and so many Tibetans refuse to give up. Every single person contributing a line or a page or a chapter to the great story of the Tibetan nation. A story that's not over, that's not ended in tragedy and subjugation, but rather is full of a new generation of characters to inspire and to lead us. And it's a story that's still being written. I think it was meant to be that I am here in Berlin with all of you, just 4 days after my father, my Pala, passed away. He was born in a free and independent Tibet the summer before His Holiness in 1934. Germany is the first country he ever traveled to outside of Tibet, where he was born, and India, where he first lived as a foreign student from an independent country, and then later for nearly 2 decades as a political refugee. In the early 60s, my father became the first Tibetan student to study in Germany. His Holiness sent him here to study with a great German political scientist who'd offered a scholarship to a Tibetan student. At that point in his life, he was in his early 20s. He'd already served the Tibetan government in exile and His Holiness as both a translator and a secretary. And like so many Tibetans, he was devastated by China's invasion and occupation of his nation. But he was determined to commit himself to the struggle and to fight to regain Tibetan freedom in whatever way he could. He was young, He was full of energy and ideas, and he was wholly committed to serve his people, his nation, and especially His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who was and is a visionary leader that has taken the Tibetan people through the darkest times. All that we do now and any success we have is because of the work of this early generation of Tibetans, so many of our parents and grandparents who are here. Those who fought the Chinese troops inside, like my father-in-law, who is nearly 100 years old. Those who led the government and rebuilt everything on the outside, and who found a way while fighting for survival in exile to keep the political flame for Tibet burning and to build a global support movement against all odds. A Buddhist nation led by a Buddhist monk, 6 million Tibetans, faced off against the most powerful, the most populous nation on earth. It's a truly incredible, remarkable story, and one that should inspire us all. They laid the foundation of this movement, they gave us the strength, and now we just need to keep moving forward. And to all of you in this room, who are the dear friends and supporters of the Tibetan people, some of you for so long, I want to say thank you. I know there are so many different stories and paths that brought you here to this room, to this moment where you still stand with us. And I know you do this with little to no benefit to yourselves. And until recently, when standing up for Tibetans and standing with His Holiness the Dalai Lama has meant taking a risk and inviting controversy and difficult challenges into your own lives. To our political representatives, to the German government, to the members of the Bundestag who are to this day championing the Tibetan struggle, I want to say thank you, and I want to say to everyone that you are the community in the Tibetan story, the solidarity that we need, the friendship and the love that keeps us all going. Together, I assure you, I feel it strongly, we can do this. Change is coming. I think many of us are certain of it. We can feel it. It'll be big. It'll probably come very quickly and when we're least expecting it. But now is the time we must do everything we can to be ready to seize the opportunity. And we must continue with your help to build and strengthen this movement so that we can right one of the greatest wrongs of modern history and so that we can see a free Tibet again and soon. Thank you. Thank you, Kyle.